Hey everyone, welcome to the second part of our currency series. In this video, we're going to go over how to add a currency shop to your game and also how to make VIPs get double the amount of money. So by the end of this video, you can click the plus button on your UI here, and then we have our buttons pop up, and I want to buy 200 coins. I click 200 and I can buy it, and it adds it to my currency. So if you want the assets for this video, check out the link in the description. If at any point you're stuck or need help, go to our Discord server, and otherwise, enjoy the video. Before we get started working on the currency UI, please make sure you either watch the previous video on the currency service or go to the link in the description to download the assets, because we're reusing the currency service in this video. So it's very important that we start off with those assets. Once you've either finished watching that video or, pull up the assets from the website, we can start designing our currency shop. So let's make a new screen GUI. Let's name this currency shop. And we're just going to make a frame. We're going to set the anchor point to 0.5, comma 0.5, so that it uses the middle of the box as a reference point. And then we'll set the position to be in the middle of the screen by setting it to 0.50, 0.50. And then we'll just set some random size. That looks good. And let's just set up some random colors for this. Now, I want my UI to look, kind of consistent. So I'll click Pick Screen Color. And I'll click on this dark green background. And then I'll insert a UI stroke, and I know that that's a black background with 2 thickness, so I'll just set that to black with 2 thickness. And we'll also set a UI corner with 0.1, and maybe 0.5 actually, a little bit less rounded. So here's our basic background for our currency shop. Let's name this currency, or a currency frame. And within our currency frame, let's add in a new text button. We'll call this the close button. Let's make the background of this a red color. We'll set the text to X, turn on text scaled, and set the color to white. And I want this to be bolded, so I'm going to change the weight to be black. And we'll set the anchor point to be 0.5, 0.5. And the position to be 1000. And then we'll set the size here, maybe 0.1 by 0.1. I think that looks good for a close button. And then within our frame here, we want to add in a scrolling frame. So this scrolling frame is actually where our money is going to be stored, or our buttons to buy money is going to be stored. So let's set the size of this to be 1010, takes up the whole space. And here we have our slider. Actually, you see how it's kind of clipping that side, the edges here a little bit. Let's actually just reduce the size a little bit. So maybe let's set the anchor point to be 0.5, 0.5. So we use the middle as a reference. Set it to be positioned in the middle. And then we can set the size to be 0.98 by 0.98. And then this just gives us a little bit of extra padding. And to prevent the scroll bar from overlapping our button, let's click our close button and let's set the Z index to 2. And that just pulls our button up in front of our scroll bar. So our buttons will now appear behind the close button. Let's rename scrolling frame to currency buttons. And let's just make a template. So what do we want the buttons to actually look like? So let's make a new text button. Text button. And let's add in a UI grid, because this is going to be a grid of items. So we'll add in a UI grid layout so that it makes our buttons into a grid layout. And let's just set some random size on this thing. So on the UI grid layout, you can change the cell size. So let's set this to be maybe 0.2 by 0.2. And yeah, this is a good size. And then we'll rename our text button to be template. And let's set the text to be nothing, because we want to set some additional custom text within. So I'll set the text of this button to be nothing. And really what this button is going to do is it's just going to give us a way to detect mouse input, but it's itself not going to be a button. And inside here, let's add in a UI corner with a 0.050, just to give it a bit of a rounded edge. Actually, let's change it to 0.10. I think that looks better. And within, we'll also add a text label. And for this text label, we're going to set the size to be 10.10, maybe 0.2. And then we'll set the anchor point to be 0.1, and then the position to be 0.010. So this sets it at the very base of our button. And then we'll set the background transparency to be 1. And then here we'll set the text scaled to be true, weight to be black, and then this will be the text telling you what you're about to buy. So in this case, 100 coins. So let's name this amount. And then we'll add in an image label with a position of 0.5000, anchor point 0.50, and actually maybe the position, let's bump it down a little bit. And then for the size here, let's just pick numbers that make it look good. It's not too precise, doesn't need to be. Just needs to look good enough. I think that's a good size here. And to make sure the image stays perfectly square, you can scroll down to where it says scale type and change this to be fit. And now our image will be perfectly square and not stretched at all. And then you can set the background transparency to be 1. And then this will be our icon. Okay, so we have a base of what our UI will look like. It's definitely not the most pretty UI we have, but it it gets the job done. Obviously, you can spend more time on your own making this look the way you want it to look. We're just going over the code in this video. So the reason why we have this template in the UI grid layout is if I duplicate this template a bunch of times, you can see it automatically populates our UI. And on our currency button scrolling frame, we can come down here to where it says canvas size. We're going to set the canvas size to be 0.000, and we're going to set the automatic canvas size to be Y. And actually here, let's just update our UI grid layout. I'm going to make these a bit taller, so maybe 0.4. And now with the automatic canvas size, our scrolling frame automatically adjusts properly based on the size of our elements. So let's just remove all of these extra templates. We only need the one. And now we need to actually populate this UI with buttons. So how are we going to do that? Well, in order for us to record these purchases and get Robux for the coins, we need to create something called a dev product. So let's head over to the Roblox creator website and make some dev products. So you'll want to come over to create.roblox.com. In the left-hand side here, you'll see this creator. Make sure you click that and change it to be either your account or the group that you're working for. And once you change that, you'll see this page. And you'll want to find the game that you're working on here. In my case, it pops up right away. It's this buy currency and VIP currency game. If you don't see it here, you can click the view all to also find it. However, ours pops up right here. So let's click it. And on the left-hand side here, we can scroll down a bit to where it says developer products. Click that. And then we can just click the create a developer product button. And we can name this to be, we want to sell 100 coins for 50 Robux. And the names here, the prices, the description, the image, everything can be changed later. So it's not super important you get it right the first time. And the image is also optional. I just have a basic coin image that I'm going to upload for this, but you can pick whatever image you want. And I'm going to now click create developer product. And this brings me back to this main page here, but now instead of it saying we don't have any products, we see that we have this one. So go ahead and make like 3 or 4 of these, however many you want for your game, and then we'll catch up. So I've made 3 developer products, and I'm just going to move my web browser off to the side for this next step. And I'll move it here, and then I'll just drag this down a bit. And now we can create a new module within replicated storage here. And we're going to call this currency data. And we're just going to write return. It's going to be a table where the key is the ID and then the value is the amount. So for this 100 coins here, I'm going to click these three dots, copy asset ID, and then within square brackets, I'm going to paste that asset ID, and I'm going to say equals 100. So this asset ID equals 100 coins. And I'm going to do that for the next few as well. So this asset ID equals 200 coins, and then this one is 300 coins. And now, once this is done, we can close out our web browser. We don't need it anymore. And let's connect this now to our UI. So let's close out of our module. And we can make a new script within our currency shop called make a new script, change the run context to client, and then we'll name this currency shop controller. And what we want to do inside this currency shop is first we want to access our currency data. So local currency data equals require, and we have this inside replicated storage dot currency data, but we have to import replicated storage. So replicated storage equals game get service replicated storage. Now we have our currency data, and then we're going to loop through this data to populate our UI. So what we can do here is first let's make a variable for our UI. So local UI equals script.parent. Local currency frame equals UI wait for child currency frame. And then local currency buttons equals UI wait for child currency buttons. And then what we have here is we now have our template within our currency button. So what we can do is we can say for ID amount in currency data, do local new button equals currency buttons dot template clone. And then we can do new button. And let's just open this up to see what we have again. We have new button dot amount equals, sorry, amount dot text equals, we can do amount double period coins. So we're going to set the text of our new button to be, say, 100 coins. And we can also set the image here. So in order to set the image, we first need to import our marketplace service. So marketplace service equals game get service marketplace service. And what we can do here is we can do local info equals marketplace service get product info. We can pass in our ID, and then we can pass in enum.infotype.product. And then when we get the info, we can now do new button dot icon dot image equals rbx asset ID. And then we'll concatenate info dot display icon asset ID. So info gives us the information related to this ID, and then display icon asset ID is the actual ID that we're going to use in our image. And then what we can do here is we can do new button dot parent equals currency buttons. And then we also want to make sure that we're hiding the template. So here we can do currency buttons dot template dot visible equals false. Otherwise, we'll have the template also showing up in your UI. So let's test this out. Okay, well, we're not seeing anything actually work here. Okay, so we have some infinite yields. I might have made a typo. Okay, yeah, so on line 8, this should be currency frame wait for child rather than UI. And it looks like I made another small typo here. This should be icon image asset ID. And now when we test this out, we should get our UI showing up properly. Okay, yeah, so here we have our 3 buttons with our dev products that we made, hopefully showing the images that you uploaded. But they're not in order, right? I would expect a UI like this to have, 100 coins, 200, and then 300. So what we can do to make that work is we can do new button.name equals amount, and then new button.layout order also equals amount. And then this will tell the UI grid layout that we want to order our buttons. And now we have everything showing up in the correct order. So now we want to do something when we actually click a button. So in order to do that, we can come back to our script here, and then we can do new button.activated connect. And then pretty straightforward here, we can just call marketplace service prompt product purchase, and then we can pass in our local player. So players.local player. Let's bring in our player. Local players equals game get service players. And then, so prompt product purchase, we pass in our local player, and we also pass in the ID. So now if we go back to our game and test this out, if we click on the button, it will prompt us, would you like to buy 100 coins? And yeah, so yeah, now we can buy stuff. Now we just need to make it so when you buy coins through the UI, it actually gives you more coins. But before we do that, let's just make sure this close button also works. So we can just do here currency frame dot close button dot activated connect. And then we can do UI dot enabled equals false. So now when we click the close button, the UI will close like that. And we also want a way to open up the UI as well. So in our currency UI, let's actually make a new text button inside the frame. And we're going to name this, let's just name this buy more. We'll make the text to be a plus button or a plus character. Set the text to be white, and we'll set the background color to be, I don't know, maybe just a slightly brighter green. And we'll set the text scale to be enabled as well. And then we'll just position this into a place that looks good. So let's set the anchor point to be 0.5, position 1.5, and then maybe the size can be 0.1. How's that look? It's probably too small. Yeah, it's way too small. So let's do 0.4, maybe 0.2 and 0.6. And then this is our plus button. So inside of our currency UI script, let's just make a new variable for this. Local buy more equals frame, wait for child, buy more, and then we can do buy more dot activated connect, and then so let's get the players.local player GUI, and then we can open up the currency shop. So currency shop dot enabled, and what we're going to do here is that the plus button on the currency UI is going to act as a toggle. So if the shop is currently closed, we want to open it. If it's currently open, we want to close it. And what we can do to make that work is we can just say the enabled is just whatever the enabled is not. So if it's currently true, then not true is false. So if it's open, it's going to turn to close. If it's closed, it's going to turn to open. And let's just test this out real quick before we move on to the next part. So if I click this plus button, it now toggles the shop, and this close button also closes it. So to make us actually award coins when you buy something, let's make a new script up here, and we're going to name this maybe currency shop. And we're actually going to use something that Roblox has provided us. It's a nice template for a dev product type system. So let me show you where we can find that. So back in our web browser, let's go back to create.roblox.com, and we can click the documentation overview. And now in the top right here, let's search for marketplace service. So marketplace service. And what we want to find is something called process receipt. So let me just click Control F and type in process receipt. Okay, so we can just click that button there. And this brings us down to this process receipt function. So this is how, with dev products, we detect when a player has bought them. And there's a lot of other stuff we have to keep in mind here. If a player tries to buy a dev product and for whatever reason we can't actually award that item, we have to let Roblox know that. Like, there's a whole lot of little tiny things that come up here. And rather than me trying to explain this all to you, I think it's more beneficial for us to just copy the resources that Roblox has provided for us. So if we scroll down here, there's a whole script here. And we can just bring this into our game. So let me just click the copy button in the top right and head over to Roblox Studio. And in our currency shop script, we can just paste this in. Okay, so there's a lot going on here, right? But immediately here we can see these product functions, and it looks like if you buy that product, in this case, okay, it makes your character heal fully. If you buy this product, it gives you some gold. Okay, this is pretty similar to what we're looking for here. Now we have our own currency data module, so we want to kind of convert this product functions area into something that works with our currency data. So let's import our currency data. So local currency data equals require replicated storage dot currency data. And we have to bring in replicated storage here. So local replicated storage equals game get service replicated storage. And let's just take one closer look at this. You see how it's returning true here? So we need to make sure our function returns true, and that tells Roblox that the purchase succeeded successfully. So in this case, you can see if the player's character doesn't exist, then it's not going to proceed with this if statement, and it would return here nil. And then this would mean to Roblox, hey, the purchase didn't work. Don't actually take their Robux. Only take their Robux if the purchase worked. So that's something we have to keep in mind with our system. But let's remove these product functions. And what we can do instead is we can loop through our currency data. So for ID amount in currency data, we can do product functions ID equals function. And here we get something called the receipt info. That's not really important for us. So we can just do a underscore followed by the player that actually made the purchase. And then we also want to import our currency service. So local currency service equals require replicated storage. No, sorry, not replicated storage. Server script service dot currency service. And let's make sure we import currency service. And when a player buys something, what we want to do is we want to do currency service, add money. So the player, we want to add the amount, and then we want to return true. The return true is very important here, or else you won't actually get any Robux from the purchases. So basically, this just takes the same format we saw before, but builds it based off of our currency data module, which is exactly what we want here. So if we add more data to our currency data, it's going to update our shop, and it's also going to connect to our server. So we only have to update one place, and it does everything else for us. The rest of the script, honestly, it doesn't matter. Roblox does a lot of things for us here. We do not need to worry about the rest of the script. We're only interested in this product functions part. So if I come back into my game now, and I buy 100 coins, so we can see up here the money in the leader stats and my UI updated. If I buy 300 coins, same thing. And also I want to mention, when you buy stuff inside of Roblox Studio, you'll see this little message here. This is a test purchase. Your account will not be charged. So when you buy stuff in Roblox Studio, you can buy whatever you want, and your actual account Robux won't be used. It's all test purchases, so you don't need to be worried about that, which is super convenient. So the last part of this video now is going to talk about how we can make VIPs earn double the currency. In a previous video, we made a chat VIP tag system. So if you spoke, you'd have a VIP tag next to your name in the chat. And we made a script there called VIP attribute. So if you have that script lying around, please go over to your code and copy that, because it's the script we're going to be using here. So let me just bring this in and paste it inside of our server script service. And this is it's a pretty simple script. So I'll go over it for the people who might not be familiar with it. But basically, we have our Game Pass ID here. And when a player joins the game, if they're a VIP, we set an attribute on that player to be VIP true. And if they buy a VIP while they're in the game, we also set that attribute to be true. So it catches people who join the game and people who buy it while they're in the game. And in our currency system, we're going to kind of attach into this. So in our currency service, here, what we can do is we can say if player get attribute VIP, then amount, we can say amount equals *2. Actually, should be star equals 2. So we can say here, if the player is a VIP, multiply the amount by 2. And we actually want to move this up here before we do all the rest of the calculations. So when the function first runs, if they're a VIP, we want to double the amount that we're giving to them. However, we don't want to double the amount if they buy it from our shop. If they buy 300 coins, they should get 300 coins no matter what. We don't want to award VIPs double from purchases. So what we can do is we can add in another parameter here called ignore VIP. And then we can say here, if they're a VIP and ignore VIP is false, ignore VIP. So if they're a VIP and ignore VIP is false, then we want to award them. And then in our currency shop script, when we add the amount of money here, we can just type in true because we want to ignore VIP. So now if VIPs buy money, they're not going to get double. But if they, if you give them money from completing something in the game or something like that, they will get double. And that's how we can add a VIP double money system to our game. And just to finish this off, I'm just going to currency shop enable false by default. And that's how we can add a currency shop to our game and also double VIP money. If you want the assets to this, check out the link in the description. And if you need any help with anything Roblox related, this video or something else, check out our Discord server where our helpers there can help you out. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you don't like the video, leave a dislike, and in the comments, let me know what I can improve on for the next one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.